Welcome to the Pathways to Prosperity podcast, where we explore personal, professional, and financial success stories of top achievers. Let's dive in.
Hey guys, this is Tristan with Pathways to Prosperity with Kevin, the owner and the speaker of everything with K2 Media. Hey Kevin, can you possibly give us a quick snapshot of your business? You do?
Yeah. So the K2 Media production side is an audio production company essentially. So
Mhm.
we create voiceovers and we edit voiceovers. We also edit video and do sound design. So you might see our work on local television, or you might see it for Marvel products, or you might hear it in the form of e-learning content.
Mhm.
All can be voiced and produced by me and through me.
Okay. So there's a lot of competition, and especially nowadays with the AI kind of morphing into the whole audio production and the voiceover competition. Like, what do you think sets you apart, and what do you think comes easier to you than to others?
What sets a human apart from AI
Mhm.
is the fact that we humans have had experiences in life.
Right.
We've been in love, we've been out of love, we've had children, we've had family members with cancer. We've experienced all these things that a human can go through, and therefore we can convey those kinds of emotions when it comes to doing our job. If we need to perform a dramatic commercial, let's say for a cancer clinic,
Mhm.
sometimes we're able to tap into those things that we've gone through in our lives to help convey the right message. AI cannot do
Yeah.
that. AI is fed dialogue and it interprets the dialogue, and a human can manipulate it in ways, say, make it sound more compassionate or whatever, but it still cannot replicate a human
Right.
telling a story.
Okay. So do you think that are you scared of anything in the future with the competition with AI kind of morphing and slowly integrating in some way with like the emotions? Are you afraid of that at all?
I wouldn't say afraid, but just aware,
Okay.
because, AI in terms of voice is getting better. It really is. And there will be, some voiceover jobs that will go away to AI. As a matter of fact, some of it's already happening,
Mhm.
like content videos, like on YouTube, you hear a lot of AI voices and that kind of thing. But not a lot of fear in that regard, because the stuff that I like to work on the most, which is in storytelling, will always be around. I feel,
Right.
at least my lifetime will be around for a human actor and not an AI voice. So I'm not really afraid, but just aware and knowing that I can got to continue to get better at my craft, so I don't have to have that fear down the road.
Okay. So like what steps do you take and how do you make yourself so I guess so unique? I mean, the voice that you have, I mean, and there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of competition, but what do you think makes you the most unique in the industry than any others?
Everybody that does what I do, well, I'm first and foremost, I'm a voice actor, right? That's my
Right.
primary job. And then the editing and the producing of
Mhm.
audio, that's, ancillary. That comes around the side. But my main focus is my voice acting job. To stay sharp and to stay on top of all that, I train.
Right.
I have next level coaches, acting coaches that I work with almost weekly. I've got a class tonight that I'm taking. I've got a class on Sunday I'm taking. Now, not everybody does that. I've been doing this for 20 years full time, though, and I know the importance of training and continuing to stay sharp at your craft. So not only are we in competition with AI, but we're in competition with other voice actors. And to stand out, to get back to your question, to be unique, that is our number one job.
Right.
Because the more we stand out, the more we are unique, and the more we are true to ourselves and who we are, and present ourselves to the buyers, the producers, those folks that do the hiring, the better the chances of us getting hired. So it is our job to stay unique, stay competitive, stay true to ourselves. Otherwise, this job's not for us.
Right. Okay. So if someone was listening and wanted to get in the space of voice acting and the in the media, not the social media, but the media presence, like what do you suggest that they do, and what kind of tips would you give them?
Run away, turn around, go back the other way you were thinking. No, Tristan, it's gotten so competitive and saturated these days with those. I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden in the last, 10 years or so,
Mm.
being a voice actor has become in vogue or the thing that people want to do. They think it's sexy, it's glamorous, and everybody's trying to do it. Um, Not everybody can do it
Right.
because they don't realize the work it entails. Because in this job, you have to be a voice actor first and foremost. So you have to be an actor, you have
Right.
to be a sound engineer, you have to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a marketer, you have to be a bookkeeper, you have to be so many different things under one umbrella. It is super competitive right now. Everybody wants to do it. And so, for those that have been doing it, we have to stay sharp and stay on top of our game. Uh, for those that are just getting into it, all seriousness, you need to research this as a career and understand that it's not, hey, my mom said I've got a good voice, that I should be a voice actor. It doesn't
Right.
work that way, right?
Right.
So you've got to explore it. People think that getting into voiceover, oh, I'll just take a couple of classes and in 3 weeks, I'm going to be doing Pixar animation. No, it doesn't work that way unless you're some sort of genius savant, billion-dollar lottery winner type person.
Right.
It takes training, it takes hard work, it takes connections, it takes building relationships, it takes a lot. So, first steps would be research voiceover. Think about what sounds fun to you. Might be video games. You might be a nerd and say, hey, I just want to narrate e learning stuff. People make livings off of basically just narrating e learning.
Mm.
People make livings off of audiobooks. Audiobooks is its own separate game. Maybe you're really good at doing silly voices and stuff. Then you could explore animation and video game work. And most of these are tough nuts to crack in the voiceover world. But research, start training, and go from there. Give it a year of training, once or twice a month at least, and see if it's still a place you want to go. That's my advice for those that want to get into it.
Okay. So since we started talking about like that aspect, what do you think has been also one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome? Has it been recently or was it in the beginning of your career? Like what was
Um,
yeah.
It's a great question, Tristan. Earlier in my career, so I started doing this side of my business in 2004 full time.
Okay.
And in about 2006 or 2007, prosperity wasn't to be had for this guy. It was a recession, right?
Right.
We
Right.
had a big downturn. So the biggest challenge that hit me at that time was not being diversified enough in my offerings of what I can do for work.
Hmm.
So I was doing a lot of voiceover in a specific genre, and that being local automotive commercials. So my voice is heard all over the country in automotive commercials. So a big in during that period of time, 2006, 2007, I would say about 80% of my income came from that. We had the
Oh,
big
okay.
recession.
Hmm.
So, what is the thing that people are going to stop doing? They're going to stop spending that
More cars.
disposable income or get
Hmm.
looking at new cars, these huge purchases. So, car sales went boom. And so, there was no need to market. So, my work went boom. So, that was a huge challenge for me at that time, but it taught me to be diverse. So I started reaching out to potential new clients for e learning work, for more telephone work, and for amping up my production game, and then training in other areas that I hadn't thought about, but thought I could be decent at. And so that was a big eye opener for me during that time, a big challenge during that time, but it made me better.
Okay. So, I mean, it sounds like you've kind of, it's not only, I mean, you learn from your experience and like you started learning that aspect of it. Like, I feel like a lot of people nowadays, they don't realize that it takes hard work. Like, hard work is what really makes a person do better, right? I mean, I feel like a lot of people nowadays, they give up when it gets hard.
Yeah, you can't.
And yeah, you can't. I feel like that's they see these fast cars, they see like everyone making crazy money in within 3 months, but I don't think it's realistic. I think it's very much the social media side. But I mean you like you said, you've been doing it for 20 plus years, right? I mean, that itself is said that you stuck to it and now you're reaping the benefits. So
That's it.
a lot of people are looking towards, the future and even trying to make passive or even recurring income. So, what do you think would be one of the best ways in your industry to make that passive income?
find those clients that do work on a regular basis, exactly
Hmm.
what I'm talking about. And that's been my philosophy since, especially since that recession hit, was okay, I need to make sure I'm focusing on sustainable income, those kinds of voiceover jobs that come around regularly. Now, one of them is automotive, because if you notice, everybody tends to notice that car commercials are on a lot. They
Right.
play every single month. And I found out a long time ago that, hey, car manufacturers change their incentives every single month. So this month it might be, hey, get a new Toyota Camry and you get $3,000 off. Or hey, next month it might be, get a new Honda Accord and get 0.9% financing. These manufacturers change them every single month because
Hmm.
they're trying to reinvigorate the sales,
Right.
right? And so they do that. They do that every single month. So, okay, boom, that's a source of income I could tap into regular. It might be telephone on hold messaging. I do on hold work for Enterprise Rent a Car, for Pizza Hut,
Mm.
for Lowe's, uh, many different national brands. And I find out they change their messaging all the time. And so they're going to need a voice actor to do that.
Right.
E-learning work changes all the time because laws change, social constructs change. To give you an example, like I had to revise some e-learning work that I did like 10 years ago because the way society is has changed, and some things that were acceptable in terms of writing 10 years ago are not acceptable
Yeah.
anymore. So they have to change those. Laws change. Let's say I'm narrating a safety training video for a manufacturing plant, and the manufacturing plant says, hey, don't stick a fork in a light socket. You know,
Right.
well, nowadays the language may even be clearer. Hey, don't go anywhere near the light socket with a fork. So all these things change, and the laws change. So that kind of work changes. Video game work could come around regular for
Mm.
somebody. You do a character, and that character is going to be brought back in version 2, version 3, version
Right.
4 of the video game. So
Mhm.
I look for sustainable voiceover genres. And then I think, what am I good at? Could I apply it to that, that, and that, and that? And that's what I've done over the last 20 years. And I've created a foundation of sustainable income coming through those voiceover genres that are sustainable and that get redone all the time.
And do you? I remember one time we've talked about royalties. Like, what do you think about the royalty business in voiceover acting?
That comes being a union voice actor.
Okay.
So let's say I'm not union.
Okay.
Um, but if I were a union voice actor, and let's say I did a commercial for Tide, um, every time I get paid for doing the actual job, and
Mhm.
then every time Tide runs that commercial, I would get paid for that. And I have
Right.
friends that are union and they do it, and that's their model, and it works fine for them. It just was not the right fit for me to
Right.
do union because of the other kinds of voiceover jobs that I do. Now, I can do, for example, I did a commercial that was running nationally 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. And then and it's what they call a buyout, Tristan. So they pay me one lump sum. They kind of ballpark what it might be if it were a union job, and they lump that all into one sum, and then I get paid that. So I was watching television this past spring and my commercial came on. And I'm like, hey, I thought that was a 1 year contract because these things have
Right.
terms.
Mhm.
And if that term is renewed, then we voice actors typically get more money.
Mm.
So I fired a note off to my agent and said, hey, I just saw my spot. Can you double check that? I thought the contract was for a year.
For a
They
year,
wrote
yeah.
me back and they said, you know what? You're right. We reached out to them and you've got a renewal coming. So
Oh wow.
the
Okay.
meaning of that is I didn't have to do a thing, but they still paid me the same exact amount as if I had done the job again, but they used my voice. That's the
Right.
important thing. Plus they gave me 10% on top of that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. That's actually really cool that you actually found that. I mean, what are the
Yeah.
chances of you really catching that? And then, because I mean, sometimes it kind of goes on the radar, right? I mean,
Yeah, I hear those stories from actor friends that are like, "Yeah, I had the same thing. I happened to see it, and then, my agent." And it's typically not the agents. So the agents are
mm,
responsible for getting us jobs, and they make money off getting us jobs. So they're not gonna try to pull anything shady. It's the end buyers, the end clients that
yeah, they're like, oh, maybe, yeah.
yeah, and probably For the most part, it's just an oversight, and they
Mhm.
just are like, "Oh, yeah, forgot. We need to let the voice talent know that, hey, we're gonna run that commercial again for another year. They gotta get paid." So it
Yeah.
was lucky that I saw it, but for the most part, they're up and up, and they're not trying to pull anything over on
Okay. Well, as we're wrapping up the interview and everything like that, what exciting plans do you have for the next 6 to 12 months? Any big projects or anything?
you. Big projects. I'm gonna keep training. I'm gonna keep grinding at making that sustainable income. Another part, Tristan, of my sustainable income is I have a full-time employee that works for me, and
Okay.
even when I'm not making money, I'm still making money
Right.
because he's working for me, and I've got some net above that. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah.
So that's one of the last things I want to leave people with before I get into the exciting future of everything. Always keep your hands in a bunch of different areas,
Right.
even if they're only generating 10% of your income. This one's generating 10%, this one's 15. It all adds up to a solid income.
Hmm.
Now, exciting things in the future, I'm just going to keep grinding. My big plans are to keep training
Okay.
because I have bigger aspirations, bigger goals to attain that I've achieved already. And I'm just going to keep grinding. Going to keep figuring out ways to keep the income coming in because my motto is if you stop getting better, you'll stop being good.
All right. Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you're a busy man, and we talk about this all the time. Giving us some insights about the business and about the industry itself. If people would like to contact you, like where should they contact you? Like on social media, or like what would be the easiest way?
Yeah, you can. My website is kevinkilpatrick.com.
Okay.
And then you can go there and then you'll see all the work I do as a voice actor. And then on the production side, the editing side, it's k2mediaonline.com. And then for Instagram, I'm at KKVO guy. And you can put that in and find me on most social and stuff. But I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
Okay. So, yeah. I mean, we definitely talk to a lot of people, and we want to make sure that we're able to, I mean, anyone who watches this podcast, we want them to also have the opportunity to commingle and just talk to anyone they can. So, well, thank you very
Absolutely.
much. I mean, thank you very much for being on the podcast. And if, like you guys heard, go try to find him on social media, on his website, email him. Do you have an email also? Do you mind? Do you have
Yeah,
one?
it's on the website. Yeah,
Okay,
you can
cool.
find it on the website for
All
sure.
right, sounds like a plan. Well, thank you guys, and thank you very much, Kevin. I hope you have a great day, and we'll hopefully keep in touch.
Thank you, Tristan. Best of luck moving forward.
Thanks for listening to the Pathways to Prosperity podcast. Got a success story to share? Visit pathwaystoprosperitypodcast.com/guest and apply today.